Alright, picture this. You're at the airport, pre-flight excitement bubbling, mentally already on vacation, maybe humming your favorite tune, rushing to catch your flight. You're this close to freedom, and then, bam! Screeching halt. A TSA agent stops you. Turns out your carry-on, the one you've taken on a dozen trips, is suddenly too big, or has prohibited items you had no idea were an issue. And just like that, your travel buzz is replaced with the cold dread of facing a fine. In 2025, these penalties are no joke. They're stricter and more expensive than ever. Today, we're diving deep, revealing exactly how much the TSA can charge you, and more importantly, how to avoid these costly trip-ruining mistakes. Stick around, folks, because this is information you need. We're covering the 5 most common fines, sneaky hidden TSA rules, and some legal loopholes that might help you fight an unfair charge. This isn't just about avoiding a fine, it's about saving your sanity and your vacation. So do yourselves a huge favor, smash that like button and hit subscribe, because the information in this video could save you hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars. You don't want to miss this. Ooh. Let's kick things off with a real heavy hitter, the overweight carry-on bag. You know the one? You've crammed every just-in-case item into it, maybe sat on it to get it zipped, and now it feels like you're lugging a small boulder. In 2025, that boulder can come with a hefty price tag. Airlines are cracking down, and the TSA is right there with them, ready to enforce the rules. Take Delta, for example. Their 2025 policy: if your carry-on tips the scales at over 25 pounds, you're looking at a $75 fee from the airline. On top of that, you could be slapped with an additional $125 TSA fee for the overweight bag. Suddenly that free carry-on is costing you $200. It's a situation that can escalate quickly. You're at the gate, ready to board, and then an agent asks to weigh your bag. The sinking feeling as you see that number creep past the limit is just awful. And it's not just the money, it's the stress, the potential delay, the frantic reshuffling of items while a line of impatient passengers watches. Nobody wants to be that person holding up the boarding process. Many airlines are adopting similar policies, and the TSA is there to ensure compliance. The 25-pound limit is often tied to safety regulations for stowing bags in overhead compartments. The key here is preparation. That little bit of pre-trip diligence can save you a significant amount of cash and a whole lot of airport angst. Imagine starting your vacation $200 lighter in the wallet before you've even left the ground. It's a scenario we absolutely want to help you avoid. Always check the specific weight restrictions for your airline, and be aware that the TSA can levy their own fines for non-compliance. Stay vigilant, weigh those bags, and keep that money in your pocket. The days of charming your way out of an overweight carry-on are largely over, especially with the clear-cut policies of 2025. It's a new era of travel accountability. We've talked about the weight of your carry-on, but what about its actual dimensions? Size definitely matters in the eyes of the airlines and the TSA, and in 2025, getting it wrong can lead to another wallet-wincing fine. This is what I call the squeeze play, because if your bag doesn't fit, they're going to squeeze your budget. Let's look at American Airlines' 2025 policy as a prime example. If your carry-on bag doesn't fit into their sizer, you're looking at a hefty $200 penalty. And that's plus any applicable check-in fees for the bag. Imagine the scene. You've navigated security, you're feeling good, and then, just as you're about to board, a gate agent eyes your slightly bulging carry-on. They gesture towards the sizer, and with a growing sense of dread, you try to make it fit. It's a public struggle, often with a line forming behind you, and when it doesn't slide in smoothly, the news of the $200 fine hits you like a ton of bricks. This isn't just an American Airlines thing. More and more airlines are getting incredibly strict about carry-on dimensions. The sizers are there to ensure bags fit safely in the overhead bins, and don't cause delays or safety issues. The financial penalties for exceeding those dimensions have become significantly more severe in 2025. The real sting here is often the double whammy. It's not just the $200 oversized bag penalty from the airline, it's also the fact that you now have to check that bag, incurring standard checked bag fees on top of the penalty. This can turn a supposedly budget-friendly travel choice into an unexpectedly expensive ordeal. The crucial piece of advice here is to be proactive. Before you even leave for the airport, check your specific airline's carry-on size restrictions. Get out that tape measure and physically check the length, width, and height of your bag, including wheels and handles. That 5 minutes you spend measuring your bag at home can save you $200 or more, not to mention a considerable amount of stress and embarrassment at the gate. It's about traveling smarter, not harder, and definitely not more expensively than necessary. Keep that $200 in your travel fund for something enjoyable, not for an avoidable airline penalty. The no-no list. What's really banned in 2025 and costs you $300? Let's move on to a really tricky one: prohibited items. The list of what you can and cannot bring in your carry-on or checked baggage seems to be in a constant state of flux. In 2025, the TSA's list of banned items has seen some notable updates, including things that might surprise you, like certain types of power banks. Get caught with one of these newly forbidden items and you're looking at a potential $300 fine. The challenge with prohibited items is that often we pack things without a second thought. That multi-tool you always carry, that souvenir snow globe, or even a particular type of battery, these can all land you in hot water if they fall foul of the current TSA regulations. One of the new additions causing some confusion in 2025 is the restriction on certain power banks. This usually refers to high-capacity lithium-ion batteries or those that aren't clearly labeled with their specifications. The risk is that these can pose a fire hazard on board an aircraft. So while your trusty small power bank might be fine, that supercharged one you bought for long trips could now be a problem. Imagine the scenario: your bag goes through the X-ray scanner and the TSA agent pulls it aside. They identify an item, perhaps that new power bank or a tool you forgot was in your backpack, and inform you it's prohibited. Not only will the item likely be confiscated, but then comes the news of the potential $300 fine. This is why it is absolutely critically important to check the very latest TSA prohibited items list before you pack. The TSA website is your best friend here. They have a comprehensive search tool, "What can I bring?" that allows you to type in an item and see if it's allowed in carry-on, checked baggage, or neither. Make this a non-negotiable part of your pre-travel checklist. The fines are not just a slap on the wrist. They are intended to be a significant deterrent. Stay informed, pack smart, and fly safe. ID checkpoint, Charlie. The $500 real ID reality. Let's talk about something that has been a long time coming, but is now, in 2025, a very firm reality, with very firm consequences. Real ID. For years, we heard about the deadlines shifting, the extensions, the will they or won't they enforce it? Well, the they will is here, and if you show up at the airport without a real ID-compliant form of identification, or with a fake or expired ID, you're not just risking being denied boarding, you're facing an automatic $500 fine. So, what exactly is real ID? In a nutshell, it's a federal standard for identification cards like driver's licenses and state-issued ID cards that was enacted to enhance security. These compliant cards typically have a star marking, though it can vary by state. The key thing is that as of 2025, federal agencies, including the TSA, are mandated to enforce these requirements for accessing federal facilities, which includes boarding commercially operated aircraft. The enforcement of Real ID has been a gradual rollout, with multiple extensions to give states and individuals time to comply. But those days of leniency are over. If your ID isn't Real ID compliant, or if it's expired, you are going to have a very bad day at the airport. The TSA agents are not messing around with this one. The $500 fine is a clear indicator of how seriously this is being taken. Imagine the sheer panic. You're at the TSA checkpoint, you hand over your license, and the agent informs you it's not Real ID compliant or that it expired last week. Not only are you potentially missing your flight, but you're also being hit with a substantial financial penalty. This isn't just an inconvenience, it's a major travel disruption with significant costs attached. So how do you avoid this $500 headache? First and foremost, check your current driver's license or state ID. Does it have the Real ID star or other compliant marking? If you're unsure, visit your state's Department of Motor Vehicles, DMV website. They will have clear information on what a compliant ID looks like in your state and how to obtain one if yours isn't up to par. Don't wait until the week before your trip to figure this out. And speaking of expired IDs, this might seem obvious, but it catches people out more often than you'd think. Life gets busy, renewal dates slip our minds. But an expired ID is, for all intents and purposes, an invalid ID at a TSA checkpoint. Always double-check the expiration date on your license or passport well in advance of any travel. Set a reminder on your phone if you have to. Loose lips, sink trips, and wallets. The $500 plus attitude fine. This next one is a bit different because it's less about what you pack and more about how you act. We're talking about fines for what the TSA might term interference with a screening process or suspicious behavior. This can include things like making inappropriate jokes, especially about bombs or weapons, becoming overly argumentative or aggressive with TSA agents, or refusing to comply with screening procedures. The baseline fine here can start at $500, but it can go much, much higher, and can even lead to arrest and criminal charges. Airport security is no laughing matter, and in the high-stress environment of travel, sometimes patience wears thin. Delays happen, screenings can feel intrusive, and misunderstandings can occur. However, how you respond in these situations is absolutely critical. Losing your cool, making threats, even in jest, or physically resisting can escalate a minor issue into a major problem with severe financial and legal consequences. Think about it from the TSA agent's perspective. They are tasked with ensuring the safety of millions of passengers every day. They are trained to look for and respond to potential threats. A seemingly offhand joke about a bomb in your bag to try and lighten the mood, or an angry outburst because you're frustrated with the process, can be interpreted very differently by a security professional whose job is to take every potential threat seriously. The $500 fine is often just the starting point. Depending on the severity of the behavior, fines can escalate into the thousands, and if your actions are deemed to be a credible threat or a significant interference, you can be denied boarding, detained by law enforcement, arrested, and face federal charges. It's incredibly important to remain calm and cooperative, even if you feel you're being treated unfairly, or if you're stressed and running late. If you have a legitimate concern or complaint, there are proper channels to address it, but arguing heatedly at the checkpoint is not the way. It will almost certainly make the situation worse and could land you with that hefty fine, or worse. The zero-tolerance policy for threats and interference is very real. The potential for a $500 fine and possible arrest should be a very strong motivator to maintain your composure and choose your words carefully. Fighting back and flying smart, your TSA fine-free future. Woo, that was a lot of information about potential pitfalls and penalties, but knowledge is power, right? And the goal here is to empower you to navigate the airport like a pro. But what if, despite your best efforts, you feel you've been fined unfairly? It can happen. So, here's how to fight back, and more importantly, how to avoid those fines in the first place. First up, prevention. Pre-check your bag. Seriously, download and use TSA's 2025 app. It has a feature where you can practically scan or look up items before you even pack to see if they're banned. Next, measure and weigh at home. Grab a cheap $10 luggage scale and a tape measure. Taking a few minutes to check your bag's size and weight the night before can literally save you $200 or more. Then there's the forgiveness hack. Believe it or not, TSA agents sometimes have discretion and can waive fines for first-time minor offenses, especially if you're polite, cooperative, and genuinely seem to have made an honest mistake. Being nice can pay off. And if you do get fined and believe it's unjust, here's how to appeal a fine. You generally have 30 days to file a dispute. Go to tsa.gov, and don't worry, we'll link the exact form in the description below. Now let's quickly talk about what might be the #1 most unfair fine, or at least the most frustrating. It's those gray areas. For instance, back in 2024 there was a widely reported story of a mom who was fined $175 for having too much baby formula. This was incredibly frustrating because medically necessary liquids, including baby formula, are generally TSA-approved in reasonable quantities. The issue often comes down to an agent's interpretation of reasonable. In 2025, these gray area fines, where rules might seem open to interpretation, are unfortunately becoming more common. This is why it is absolutely vital to always print out the specific TSA rules related to any item you're concerned about, especially things like medications, medical equipment, or items for children. Look, this simple piece of paper, these printed rules from the official TSA website, can literally be your get-out-of-jail-free card, or at least your save-you-$500 card. If an agent questions an item that you know is permitted, being able to politely show them the official guideline can often resolve the situation right there. So there you have it. Your guide to avoiding those pesky and pricey TSA fines in 2025. It's all about being prepared, staying informed, and keeping a cool head. Travel smart, everyone, and here's to many fine-free adventures ahead. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with your travel buddies.